Watch today we have this American pocket watch. It was made in about 1893 by a company called Waltham, who are one of the really big American watch manufacturers from about the middle of the 19th century until about 1930. What a beautiful watch this is, and look at the work on it. It's I know it's American, but it's smack in the middle of the really good part of the Victorian era. I live in a place called Pembroke Dock, and we're lucky enough here to have some Victorian architecture, and when these guys build stuff, they really built it well, and this watch is just testament to that. We're going to have a look in detail at it in a moment, but as you can see, when the light catches this, the amount of work that has gone in to this. Okay, now they were factory built, it wasn't built by just one individual, but this is a solid watch. It's an accurate watch. And it's a beautiful watch. Let's flip it over and have a little look at the dial. So my big hand's coming in here. Okay, and there we are. Okay, so as you can see, it looks pretty much like it would have done when it came off the factory floor all those years ago. Anyway, what we're going to do with this watch, I'm going to strip it down completely and service it and regulate it and create my own case for it. It's not going to go back as a pocket watch. The size of watch, it's actually a size 6S, and when it's in its new case, which I will create for it, it'll be about 40 millimeters across, which is right in the sweet spot for wristwatches today. Okay, if you look at some of the new Rolexes coming out, they're bigger than they used to be, and 39, 40, 41, even 42 millimeter diameter for the watch without the crown is pretty standard, and it's a nice size. So it's going to be a great project. We're going to bring this beautiful watch back to life. We're going to put it in its own special case, and we're going to enjoy doing that. Now you can see that despite the age of this watch, that it still wants to go. I'm not going to put any tension on the spring because it's so old that it'll you might possibly damage it. I'll just give it a little nudge though. You can see that it's off, and it kind of wants to go. You can see the pallet stones there working on the and look, there's a little bit of energy coming from the spring, and it wants to go. This watch really wants to work again. So just give it another little nudge there, like that, and off she goes. Okay, now I have no idea when this was serviced last, but it might well have never been touched for over 120 years. So we're going to make this watch beautiful and functional again. So here's the pallet fork to the Waltham Pocket Watch. Once I put it through the cleaner, it lost one of the pallet stones. So what we're doing now is we're just sizing up a new stone to put inside the pallet fork. And once we've done that, we're going to get some shellac on that. Use a heat source and put some shellac on it to fix it in to the fork. And then the rest of the movement is looking good, so we should be able to get that going. The coin that you can see in the background there, that is a 5 piece, which is, I think, one of the smallest coins that we have here in the United Kingdom. And so you can just get an idea of the scale of this thing here. A beautiful little pallet fork. You can see that the new stone is a lot brighter, pinker than the original stone that was lost. But hopefully we'll get this fixed up and get this watch going again. Okay, so we've found the right size jewel for the pallet fork, and we've inserted that jewel in the pallet fork and applied the shellac to it. Now, to do that, we have to heat the pallet fork up, but not directly. So we use a spirit lamp, like you can see here, and this one is lit. I don't know whether you can see it in the video, but it is lit and it's hot at the top. And then a sheet of metal with a hole drilled in it, and you can see the pallet fork resting on there. And what we do is we heat it all up, and then we take a piece of shellac which we shave off a stick like this, and you can get these sticks of shellac from your watch materials suppliers, and just take a shave off with a nice sharp knife, and then using some tweezers, we take that, melt it on the hot piece of metal, and then we would just bring that in there and just see if I can get that to focus. Probably can't actually. I don't know whether you can see there's a nice little strand on there. Let's just see if I can actually. I'm going to come in closer on that in a moment. But you can just see against the purple of the methylated spirit there that what we do is we melt a bit of shellac on the hot metal and then pull it away slowly, and you'll get a strand of shellac, as you can see there, as it cools and solidifies. And then we can place that, heat up the pallet fork again, and then use that nice thin piece of shellac really just to place that between the jewel and where it inserts into the fork, and then reheat that a couple of times and let gravity do its work, pull the shellac down into the crevices between the jewel itself and the metal, and it'll be nice and solid. So, you know, really good traditional way of doing business. I'm going to do a few little close-ups now just to show you the jewels inside the fork and the shellac applied. Okay, so a nice close-up now of the pallet fork. So yeah, we've inserted the new stone, which you can see here, and heated up this metal plate, and then gently dropped a very fine thread of shellac onto the stone there that I just touched there. Okay, and then repeat that a few times, keep heating it up, and let gravity draw the shellac down in between the stone and the metal, and then you'll get a good bond. Yeah, so that's how we fix back in the pallet jewel. And as I say, the rest of the movement is good, so get this back in the watch in a moment and hopefully get that going. Okay, so here is the Waltham Pocket Watch, fully serviced and shined up nicely, as you can see. And in fact, I've had it on the bench working for the last nearly 48 hours now, which is a pretty good power reserve for a pocket watch like this. But as you can see now, the spring is really right at the tail end of its power reserve, and because of that, the train is not putting that much power into the balance, and as you can see, the balance actually at that moment completely just stopped, which is completely amazing. So literally at that time, what I was about to say was it's still going, even though there's almost nothing left in the spring. So we caught on camera there the moment the spring ran out of power. If I just nudge it again, I expect we'll just get a little bit more action. Yeah. Okay, now it really is pretty much at the end. Okay, so what I'm going to do now though is put some power on the watch because we don't have the watch installed in a case. I'm going to use a pin vise with the stem attached to it, which I find a really useful way of just putting power onto the watch when it's out of the case like that. So I'm going to do that now. And there it is with a full wind. It is going so nicely that the video has really difficulty picking it up. Let me see if I can just zoom in on that a little bit and pick up exactly the way in which that's working. As you can see, that is really now going some. So in terms of the service and fixing the issues with the pallet fork, that's a good job done, I think, although I say so myself, what shouldn't. And actually it's nicely there, you can see the new pallet fork with that pink colour just catching the light as it goes back and forth. What I'm going to do now is just do a slow motion shot of this, just to see the kind of amplitude that we're getting out of this newly serviced watch. That was created in 1893, so good 120 odd years old, yeah, if not more. So yeah, let's go do a little close-up. And lastly, the thing that was wrong with the pallet fork, over and above the fact that the jewel was missing, but we replaced that, and you can see that working away there. Just focusing on that a second. Oop, can't do that, can I? Hang on. There you go. You can see that new stone, like, that's the purple stone there against the escape wheel, working nicely. But there was one other thing that was wrong with the pallet fork, and that was that the guard pin was bent very slightly out of shape, which stopped it doing its job and resulted in the watch really coming to an abrupt stop quite frequently, because the guard pin is there to stop the watch, what is called overbanking. I will do another video on overbanking, so I won't labour that here, but I will show you. I have got another Waltham Pocket Watch on the bench here, which is disassembled, and you can see there the pallet fork for that watch, which isn't completely dissimilar. I'm just going to get that out now and show you what the guard pin is, and then I will do on a later date a whole video on the function of the guard pin and its role in stopping the balance from overbanking. So I'll just get that and show you now. And so we have a close-up of the pallet fork. You can see the two pale coloured jewels at the front of the fork. You can see the pivot at the top, the big lump of steel in the middle. That's not part of the pallet fork. That is my tweezers. And then on the right, then I'll just move it into focus if I can, right in the center of the frame. That is the guard pin. And even in this instance, you can see that it's not completely straight and perhaps has been manipulated a little bit towards the rear of the fork. And the positioning of that guard pin so that it locates properly with a hollowed out area on the roller plate is absolutely critical. Okay, so I'm going to do another video on that particular thing, but this watch required two things to get it back going. It required for its pallet, which was very similar to the one in front of you now, it required a loose jewel to be refixed in with some shellac, and then the guard pin at the end of the pallet fork there had to be manipulated so that it located properly with the roller plate. Having done both of those tasks we've now got a completely fixed and really beautifully running serviced watch. So very pleased with that. And yeah, look out for the video that I'm going to do on the role of the guard pin, and also in other pallet fork configurations there's a thing called a guard dart, and I'll cover both of those in another video. So that's it for tonight, and yeah, please subscribe if you like my videos, and good luck with your watchmaking.